Welcome, Luann. Perschau, how are you? It's been some time since we've talked.
Oh, I'm doing great, Mark. How about
Good.
yourself?
I'm doing
Yeah,
quite well.
great.
Yeah,
We have been, it's been a while since we've had a chance to podcast, and
it is.
all,
Yeah.
all, all heck is broken loose in Genoa City and
Yep.
on Young and the Restless, and it's like uh, lots of interesting stories.
Yeah. Yep. Let's
Yeah.
get into it.
Okay.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about Claire. So Claire was this. I'm going to back up a little bit because we got some ground to cover. But Claire was uh, she kind of pitched it to Nikki and uh, Victoria that she would take care of Jordan, and they were.
Hmm.
I thought rightly so. I thought Nikki was a little concerned about that because it's like you're pretty cold, girl, the way
I
you
know.
talk about that. So,
Yeah,
but
because you're
anyway, they did it.
yes.
She got poisoned, and as
Yeah.
far as we know, she's dead. What do you think, Luann?
Well, and it's interesting how that whole storyline kind of transpired where Claire was in the coffee shop and heard this woman uh,
Yeah,
ordering a
that's where it
certain
started. Yeah.
latte, and that's
Yep.
where it began. And she's like, only my aunt. Could only be my aunt. And then when she cornered her and how she approached Nikki and Victoria about killing her, and they said, do you know, we don't want you to be charged with murder. And she said, no, I have a plan. And how they carried out that plan, and Victor he didn't know quite what they were doing. It's kind of like, what are those three ladies up to? And I'm sure Victor is like, you need to confer with me before you do these kind of things. But anyway, they got Claire. Somehow Claire got crazy Aunt Jordan lured to her home on the Newman ranch. And she put some product in her special latte, and then she because Crazy Aunt Jordan knew where Sharon was. So
Right.
Claire
Right.
did
Yeah.
not want her
Right.
to drink it yet. So she said, stop. And Aunt Jordan is like, well, what did you put something in my drink? Well, then at
Right.
that time, that's when Victoria and Nikki came. And as they were arguing and talking, and it's kind of like, there's no way out, Jordan. You're going back to prison, or they were kind of giving her an out. It's like, you're going back to prison. And Jordan said, I am not going back there. So she grabbed the cup and drank it herself. So that way, Claire couldn't be accused of murdering her. She just planted the poison. And she drank it. And by that time, Victor and Nick had come and to watch her. Is she dead?
Is she
Because
dead? That was my question for you.
it wasn't poison. I have to back up. It wasn't poison.
Oh,
It was lots of sleeping pills. So that's what Claire got on. But Victor's security detail, how efficient and effective are they? If they truly did the job that Victor told them to do, uh, um, yeah, Jordan would be most assuredly dead. But if they somehow, let it, didn't take care of Jordan the way they should, which sometimes they haven't been on top of everything. She might be, but they made it appear that she was most surely dead. But they never have a coroner come, so
right. And
nobody's
it's always kind of mysterious. We don't see. Yeah. Right. You're right,
yeah,
Luann. We don't see the coroner loading the body. We don't
right,
see the death investigation. We don't see any of that.
correct.
It's just he's just dead,
Yeah, she's just dead. And
and we're supposed to believe him.
we're supposed to believe them. And Chance is kind of like, as the detective on this, he's like, what? I think you guys are just all getting your stories the same so that we don't question anything as the police investigating it. And,
Right.
they stuck to their story that this is what, she drank it herself, and she poisoned herself. So I want to, like you said, we haven't seen everything. There was nothing else. When we get on to Ian, we'll talk a little bit about that. But
Hmm.
with Jordan, all we saw was that she slowly passed away, or did she slowly
Or
fall
passed
fast
out or
asleep?
whatever. Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Right.
but
Exactly.
we'll see how well Victor's security team took care of disposing her body.
Okay. somehow I think that'll come back. But I do know that her contact, the real actress, her contract was not renewed.
It
But that
wasn't.
doesn't mean,
She
I
down
mean,
the
a year
road.
from now, 6 months from now, they could give her a new contract and bring her back, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
And
that
she,
stuff happens all the time.
yeah, and as you and I talked, she is a good villain.
Yeah, she
She
did a
plays her
good job.
part well.
It was
Mm-hmm.
a pretty big stretch for her, although she was in and out as an evil person, kind of as the world turned.
Oh,
She was
she was too.
Barbara.
Yeah.
Barbara Hughes.
I didn't watch that soap,
That's
so
bad that I
that's
actually
good that
knew
you
her.
know that. You can't remember what happened
I
yesterday, but
know,
you can
I
remember her
know,
name.
but I remember her name. I remember all the important stuff, Luann.
Right.
All right, so let's move on.
Okay.
There was a showdown with finding Sharon and Ian, and that went
Mm-hmm.
on for some time.
Mm-hmm.
But Sharon did, as you had already mentioned a little bit here, that she already had been rescued.
Mm-hmm.
And then, there was the confrontation following that with Victor and Ian,
Mm-hmm.
and Nick was there. Trying to think who else was there. Was there somebody else?
Victoria, Claire,
Victoria was there.
Nikki. He wanted the
Nikki.
whole family there,
They
and
were all there. That's right, because he
yeah,
was trying to get them all in the room. Yeah, that's right.
yes, he wanted them all in the same room
And
together.
then, yeah, because then Adam even showed up.
Yeah, Adam showed
Yeah,
up. The only one that
right
wasn't there
before
was Abby.
the incident.
Yes, the incident.
So Victor ends up going. He stands up and he's giving him the macho brav, and he goes, like he starts letting Ian have it. Victor does,
Mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden they end up, colliding with each other, and they're wrestling each other, and boom, boom, the gun goes off.
Yes. And
And anyway, they both end up getting shot because there was a shot and then there was another shot.
yes, yes.
So
And that whole couple episodes there, going into the next day, that was some good Young and Restless.
yeah, that was good. Those
Because
scenes were good.
yeah, because you saw and Ian too, we've talked about, has been a good villain. It was nice bringing him back and how they hooked him and Jordan up together. Their little partnership that they had, and they were both kind of turning against each other. But in the end, I think Ian was getting some soft feelings for Aunt Jordan because
Yeah,
he
I
couldn't
think he
believe that
actually
she
did
would.
finally kind of end up kind of
Yeah,
caring about her in the end. I think.
yeah,
Yeah,
he couldn't believe that she was dead when they told him that she was dead. He was like, "No way! I care about her." And it's like, really, and even though they were kind of plotting against each other and kind of blaming each other too but Ian kind of confessed. But like you said, when he was after Victor. He wanted to take out the family, and Nick, and then he said, "Nikki, you'll be the last one to go," because she was, talking smart to him. And he said, "You
right,
can watch all the rest of your family be killed before I kill you." And then
right.
how he shot Victor, and then Victor's sitting in the chair, and then he's coming after. Whoever he was coming after was Nikki or who, and then that's when Victor came up, and he's a tough old bird. It's like he gets up, he's like, "No, I can walk to the the ambulance."
I actually think he's a great actor.
Oh, he's a great actor.
Don't you?
Yes. But
Uh,
and he just was. He's like, "Ian, you're going down, and there's no more. Nothing great will happen here. You're going to go down, and we're going to take care of business here tonight."
right.
And so when he killed him or shot him, they put Ian in a chair, and no one had remorse for him. He's like, "Couldn't you lay me down somewhere?" And Nick is like, "No, you're staying
Yeah,
in that chair."
yeah,
And
yeah.
then Victor was in the hospital and back home already, and he's feeling very emotional though. You could tell in
Yeah.
today's episode. I think the thought that he, just like that, he could have been gone.
Right.
If that bullet would have gone somewhere else
Moved
on
a
him,
little bit. Yep.
moved
Yep.
a little
Yep.
bit, and he's very emotional with his family. But the tough old Victor is still
Tougher in
yesterday
the. Yep.
doing yesterday's episode when Jack came to see how they were doing
Yeah.
because after he heard about it, wanted to make sure Nikki was okay. And Victor's like, what are you doing here? And Jack says, well, I care. I wanted to know how your family's doing. He's like, you really don't care.
Right, right.
And then at the very end, after before Jack left, he said, and I really don't want your son, Kyle, with my granddaughter Claire. It's like, oh, Victor, even though you've been shot and you've been
Yeah,
given a
he doesn't
second
give that
chance.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, Victor. Yeah. Okay, so question for you: have we heard the last of Ian, or you think he'll make a
Okay,
rejoin at some point?
this is the part that because I saw the one part and I have not seen anything more after that. And for our viewers too, because as he's going in the ambulance, you see Ian kind of go gasping. He's like, and it's like, did that mean I didn't think he was dead then. He was still breathing. But then
Right,
I didn't see anything after that, or was he taking his last breaths? That's the unknown because because he was laying still, and then all of a sudden he started gasping for air, and so it's
right.
like, is he still alive? And then I thought, well, is he going to take over the ambulance? But then they didn't show anything more, and I don't know if you've seen anything more,
No, I
if I
haven't.
missed something.
No,
So
I have not either.
so there's a part of me that thinks he may not be dead. But then how would he get out of the ambulance? That's the part I'm
But
not
that's
sure.
part of why I think they don't show us anything, because
Yeah.
that allows them to do a lot with
Hmm.
bringing, either deciding to or not, or deciding not to bring that character back.
Yes. 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 And so Ian was a good bad guy, and I think
He is good. I like him.
Mariah and Sharon, they gave their little speech about how he had affected their
Hmm.
lives. And I know if Victor wouldn't have killed Ian, I think Mariah would have, because
I do
Mariah
too.
was very upset
He
with him.
was.
Yeah,
He
what
was
he had
pissed.
done to her, and how he was, pressing the buttons on her family, with
Right.
yeah, with her
Right.
little
Right.
baby and everything.
Exactly.
So.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Uh, Damian. So
Hmm.
Damian's a new character on the YNR. What are you thinking about what they're doing with that character so far?
Well, I thought it was kind of interesting how, the character we thought was Damien coming to visit Nate
Hmm.
and Audra is the imposter. He's kind of like a stand-in that is giving Damien, the real Damien, information. That surprised me.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
See, I might
So
have missed an episode or so in
yeah,
there too,
because
though.
when the guy that came to see Nate, we thought was Damien, and this is the hint they gave, because Nate has again a certain coffee that he likes, a certain latte, and he said, "Well, if we're really half brothers, maybe he'll like that same drink." So Audra bought two drinks that were the same. Well, that the Damien that came to visit Nate said, "No, I don't like that drink. I drink tea or something like that." And so then when he left, because he was upset that this really wasn't an interview, and Nate brought up that, you know your mother Amy would like to see you, and he's like, no, I do not want to see her. Well, then he left, went to the park, and then that's where he saw the real Damien, and Damien said, what transpired, what happened? And he
Ah,
said,
okay.
well, it's your mother, she wants to see you and talk to you. And he said, really? And something was brought up about what he likes to drink. And the real Damien said, oh, I like latte. And so it's kind of like, oh, that's interesting. And so he just said, we need to get information on Nate. And about that time, they got some information on Nate, that who his father was, and Amy, Damien's mom, worked for his father, so that's the connection kind of there. So we'll see what happens. But, Damien must have some kind of, because he owns some companies or something, with what Nate and Amy had that investigator find.
Yep.
So if, I'm not sure what he must have some kind of shady background, or how he made this
It
money.
sounds like, yeah, that business is kind of a shady, laundering money or something
Hmm.
behind it.
Yeah, so
Um,
it'll be
yeah.
interesting to see how that storyline transpires, and if he wants to, at some point see his mother because she was heartbroken. Amy was heartbroken that Damian didn't want to see her, you know.
Right.
And like they were both talking, the imposter says, "Well, Damian, I don't know how long we could do this because we were lucky that Amy wasn't with Nate. Because if she was, she may have not, she would know that I wasn't her son, you know." So it's kind of interesting how uh, the storyline is going because I thought Damien was going to come to the door and it wasn't the real one. So
Sure. The only other thing that I know about that, and plug your ears if if somebody doesn't want to hear this, but because I did read something that I think is going to come up, and that is that Damien um, has a past romantic interlude with one of our female characters on
oh
the story.
oh
So
really?
yeah,
Damien does?
Damien had a history with some girl
Oh
that's currently
okay.
on the show.
Oh okay.
So we can speculate all day, I guess, who that is, but
Yeah, they didn't say who it was. Okay.
no,
Oh,
no,
interesting. So that he's trying to get more information. I think
yeah,
he wants to know who is. Think he was first wondering who's bringing me back here. Who wants to? Because he figured it wasn't for a job. Because when Nate said, "Well, there's really no job. It's something else that I want to tell you," and he said, "I figured that it wasn't a job." So I think Damien wants to put some feelers out before he, you know, says,
commit
"Yeah,
to it.
commits to it." Yes, that's a good
Yeah,
way to say it.
okay, all right. Uh, all right. So next, let's talk about Billy and Jack. They've kind of made up lately,
Hmm.
and this surprised me a little bit. But Jack is willing to fund Billy's new business idea concept,
Hmm. Hmm.
which he finally hit him what he wants to do. I think today,
Yes.
um, that he wants to start a business called Abbott Media,
Hmm.
and he convinced Phyllis to be on board
Yes.
after some discussion,
Yes.
and he now is working on her son to have them
Daniel.
join, Daniel
Yes.
to have them
And
join
we'll
as
see
well.
because I think Daniel would join it, but he's like, "Mom, it's Billy." And you know
It's
how
Billy,
Bill
yeah.
how
If
Billy
it was
is with.
anybody else, I think he'd be all
Yes,
over it, but
I think so too. And I give Jack credit. Jack loves his brother and he's willing to, put out some money to help him start this new business. And Phyllis, I give her credit when she went to see Billy today. She said, I'm ready. I'm on board with you. And he said something about Abbott Media going against Newman. And she said, I thought you
I
weren't
know
going to do that. And she said, really? She said, I don't know if Daniel will want to come on. So I give Phyllis credit that she was,
he's
kind
kind of
of,
done with that, yeah,
yeah,
with that
yeah.
vengeance speech.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
Billy seems like in the end here he's in the right place, but we'll see if he
Yeah.
can maintain that.
Right. Right. Well, that can only last long. I mean, right now he's in a happy place. He and
He is.
Sally have a nice relationship. She's
Mhm.
been very positive for him, and she builds up his ego. And Phyllis has been really good and supportive, so he's in a good place. So if he could make that, and maybe he's the boss. He's the boss now. That's what he wants, and he has Phyllis on board. And if Daniel comes too, that will all help him. So we'll see.
Right on. Yep. Yep. Where do you think Abbott Media will go? What do you think is the future?
Oh, if he runs it well, I think it could do well. Because Phyllis is, a hard worker and she's sharp, and if Billy doesn't let emotions and past vendettas get in the way, I think they could do okay.
Part of what I would speculate here is that I think with him being in the media business, it
Hmm.
probably wouldn't even matter. But Victor's going to be all over that because
Yes.
with his
Hmm.
media empire, he's going to be wanting to squeeze Billy out, which he would anyway. But
Hmm.
it's also competition now. So
Yes.
um,
And
and then I'm afraid Billy's going to lose it. But we'll see.
yes, we'll see. Because now because Adam and Victor were throwing bad information out on Billy, so now maybe Billy can do the same thing on Victor and Adam. He can turn around because now he has a media corporation and
Right.
he can throw it
He'll
back
have his
at them.
followers too. Yeah.
Hmm.
Right.
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be interesting.
Yes.
You already mentioned, but my next topic was that Victor seems melancholy about his family after being shot.
Yeah, yeah,
I have to admit here, Luann, that I was wondering when he got shot if this wasn't the end of Victor.
really.
Um, well, because, I- the guy seems invincible, but I mean, he's in his 80s. I mean, is
Yeah,
he going to be able to continue at this pace? I don't know.
I don't
He
know, but
amazes me how sharp his brain is. Can you
oh,
imagine being able to recite lines at that age?
I know. Especially when you have some big scenes,
I
and
know he's not just
yeah,
a small role player
yeah,
either.
but
So
Victor is a tough old bird. It's
he
just,
is. Well, he's got such a strong character. I'm sure they're like, well, what do we, that could be the end of the soap,
I know. And there's really no one there yet to take that role, from him.
There's no actor that kind of equals Victor in terms of
No, no, but
that you could
I,
see kind of dominating the show.
yeah, but you could see him, and he even says it. I love how much he loves his family, and he will do whatever it takes to protect them. And he's so happy to have them all at the ranch now, and he
Yeah,
has Adam and Chelsea there with him, and their son Connor, and he's happy to have them back together, even though Chelsea and Adam have said, we're only together for Connor, and they've told that to Connor. They've told it to Victor. They keep telling it to each other,
I know.
and who knows if they can keep it that way, good for them. That they're actually, Adam and Chelsea are getting along the best they are now, and they were even joking with each other today.
Right.
So I thought, good for them. And and Victoria and her, they're all at the ranch, and the only one he can't get there to the ranch is Nick. He likes his little spot,
Yep. Yep.
where he's at. But
Nick is kind of, well, he's gotten smart. He's been burned enough times too that
yeah,
he
he knows
he
he
loves
needs.
his parents and he loves all that, but he needs to keep his distance.
Yeah, he needs a little separation there.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. All right. So I've been dying to bring up the next topic with you,
Okay.
Luann.
Okay.
While others are cutting soaps, CBS is betting on big on a soap, and that there's a new CBS soap going to be starting called
Mm-hmm.
Beyond the Gate. And I didn't realize. I just learned this today. I knew that or had heard that, but
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that it's replacing the talk.
Yes,
Now
yes.
what am I going to do?
I know. Well, I think
I have watched that show. I have to admit.
I have watched the talk. I mean, I'll watch it for about the first 15 minutes, just to kind of see everything. And once in a while they would bring some of the cast members from The Young and the Restless and
Yeah.
Bold and Beautiful on there
Then I
too.
would watch it.
Yeah, I would always tune in. I know there's a lot of talk shows on in the afternoon, but I was surprised when they did take that
I
off.
am too. Yeah.
Yeah, but they're betting a lot with this new soap, and it must be on for an hour because the talk
Yeah, because
was
that
on
show
for
was
an
an hour.
hour.
The talk was an
Yeah.
hour. So,
And what I see with the cast is, it's a black cast, and
oh,
I think that's, that'll be good because,
sure.
Young and the Restless and Bold and Beautiful, at least just looking at CBS, mainly it's a white cast, and there's, a few black actors, but they don't get a lot of the big storylines.
Right.
Now it has been for Devon and Lily and Nate. They've been getting some good storylines,
Right.
too. But it looks good. Like I've seen previews of it, and it looks very interesting. And it's rich people, so you got some money there again, and some nice looking actors and actresses, portraying these characters. So who knows what will
Oh, that'll be
happen.
interesting.
Yeah, they'll have to get a little following at first. I'm sure, you'll have to get to know the characters, who they all are, and who's related to who. That's half the battle, of just figuring out who is who.
And they'll
But
probably do a good job of setting that up
yeah,
initially so that
and
the
see,
watchers can follow it.
right, see what storylines are happening. So that
Well,
would be interesting.
I don't know if I can start another podcast. I already
I
have
know.
two soap opera podcasts.
Yeah. The other
My
thing,
wife, my wife might put her foot down on that.
yeah, she might say, Mark, that is too much. That's your whole afternoon. we got things to do down here in Florida.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful outside. We
We
can't
have to
sit
go
inside.
sun somewhere or swim
And
or
then,
something.
and then you can say, "Hey, I'll DVR it. I'll catch
Yeah,
it
that's
later."
what the DVR is for.
Yeah.
That
One thing that I
Sure,
think
go
would
ahead.
be kind of interesting is, Sharon finally got rid of Cameron,
Yeah,
and he gave her a kiss goodbye when he's like, you won't be seeing me anymore. You've got yourself fixed and you're healthy again, and some of the people like that character, and I think they like the interaction between Cameron and
I didn't
Sharon.
like it.
But I
It-
didn't either. I didn't like how he was her conscience, kind
It's just
of.
it's a little creepy.
Yeah. But they were talking about how they bring back characters as a twin. Maybe that's what they'll do.
Oh, sure. I hope not,
I know.
because again, and you know what? Maybe the storyline was okay for a while, but I don't
Hmm.
like when they do a storyline that's kind of, I don't
Yeah.
know. It's probably
Yeah.
50-50 as far as some like it, some don't. But
Right.
it's not overly. I can't believe it'd be overly popular as a
Right.
storyline. I'd be
Right.
curious what our listeners think if they have
Right.
comments. But
Yeah.
um, to I don't know. It just went on too long.
Yeah,
I,
it
I
did.
think they could have wound that up a lot earlier.
And I was surprised when they brought him back
Yeah, me too.
this last time now, because it was
Do
like,
you
oh,
know that he's married to? You know this,
yeah,
right? He's
Diane.
married to Diane in real life.
Yeah.
It seems
And
like there's an age gap there, but probably isn't.
I don't know. Maybe it's
Huh.
just the way they had him made up.
That could be too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
he's
and
probably older than you think he is. He was on the show
yeah.
some years ago already. So
Yeah. And when and they've kept Diane around a lot
they
longer. I
have,
thought, and I think it's
yeah,
because Jack really needed a love interest.
yeah.
Many years he
And
didn't
who
have
else are they going to do? He's
it.
been with several of them already.
Yeah.
Although, don't let that stop you. Like on the
Right.
Bold, some of them have been married 3 times.
Yeah. Exactly. Brooke.
Brooke, Brooke,
Yeah.
Brooke has been with the entire family, married
Yeah.
or whatever at
The
some point,
Forrester family.
right?
Yeah.
Do you have any closing comments, thoughts
Not
on the
really.
Young and Restless?
Well, I like we said, I think we've seen the last of Ian and Crazy Aunt Jordan for a while, so we'll see who the next villain will be.
Right. Yep. I'm gonna
That
miss
comes
those
back.
characters,
Yeah,
but
me too.
I hope they come up with something juicy for another storyline here.
Me too. Me too.
All right, Luann. Until we dish again, keep it sudsy,
Oh yeah.
and we are out.